Hello, folks. Welcome to the Practical Sportsman. This is our first show of the new season. This is going to be a fun show. We have a live audience here. We're at the Gander Mountain store in Flint. All these folks have come out to participate in the program. I'm going to be giving away money. How about that? That's something new. You stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost, and you're watching the Practical Sportsman. Whoa! A practical sportsman starts salmon fishing early. At 6 a.m., John, Matt, and I left the public launch at Ludington. In the protected harbor, the water was calm. But outside of the harbor, 7 miles north off Big Sauble Point, it was a different story. Here we are a few miles offshore off Ludington, 7 miles north of the port. This is a question for you practical sportsmen like we like to think we are, right, Matt? Okay, we're out here 7 o'clock in the morning, prime time for king salmon. Problem we got, you can see by the wind on the water here, little bit of wind blowing in from the south, and this is supposed to move around from the southwest as the morning progresses. That means we're going to be pounded. It doesn't seem too bad right now when we're trolling with the wind. You just set that bottom line graph over the side there. Saw a fish? Okay, so we marked a fish. We were just about ready to head back in. So what do you think? If you were faced with these waves in this conditions, you came up here the night before, you had all this anticipation, you got the rods rigged, would you head in and fish in where it's calm, or would you try it out here? Found a couple people here in the crowd who have an opinion. Would you go back, or would you stay out there?
After last week, I'd go back in the shore.
You'd go back. What'd you do?
I'd stay out.
Oh, we got to stay out and to go back. Here's the question, and I'll tell you what. I'll give you $5 if you can answer what I did. Did I stay out or go back?
Stayed out. Stayed out.
Who thinks I went back? There's $5 to you. Now let's take a look at it. Whoa. Simon says, stay out here fishing. Captain says, we're going in. This is not worth it. We're having a heck of a time bouncing out here. The wind is picking up. The waves are getting bigger. We're going to head back in to where it's calmer and flatter. It just isn't practical to set the lines and with the white caps rolling in and over the stern. It just isn't practical. I'm really not worried so much about the safety angle. Are you, Matty?
Not at all.
You liar. We might as well go in where it's calm. Got her cranked up? Yeah. Okay. We only got one line set because those waves were tossing us around. After we pulled that line, we got a taste of what rough water is all about. On the way back, we bucked the waves. We couldn't go very fast, but we knew on the calm water of Pere Marquette Lake, fishing would be much easier. Boy, this is not only easier fishing in here, but we found where all the other boats are. The salmon seem to be in here. Of course, it's flat water, and all of the small boats are out here. Off Ludington, off Sauble Point, there were a few charter boats of the big boys, but in here, the smaller boats picking up a few salmon, I guess. But look at this. This is so cool, Johnny. You notice the back of the boat? I don't have to be sitting there steering on the big motor. We have the smaller motor, this 9.9 horse, hooked up to what's called a TR1. So we could take the seats out of here. Maddie and I could just sit and yak. Watch this. With the magic wand, I twist my thumb. Watch what happens to the engine back there. Twist it to the one side, the engine turns. Twist it to the other, turn it the other way. I mean, you can steer the boat with this wand. Otherwise, watch what happens here. It's going to straighten out, and it's on autopilot. Whichever direction you set it in, that's the direction it will maintain. This is very cool, huh, Matt?
Very cool.
Now we can get up, we catch a fish, I can set the wand down, it'll be going, stay in this direction. And you know, even if we shift our weight, look at this, shift our weight in the boat, it compensates. So I tell you, we found where the calm water is, all the boats, the fish.
No, we just wait.
Tasty, tasty. This is what fishing is all about. Now I have a question for you folks out there. Oh, you folks here too. How much does that autopilot cost if you buy it? To the closest $100.
$100.
$100?
2,000.
$2,000?
About 200.
$200? You guys are way off. It's $1,100. You're 900 off. You're 900 off. There's $5. There's $5. I tell you, for 900 off, that's a lot of money. Here, take a look at how this baby is put together. The TR1 will only work on 15-horse outboards or smaller, so Ray at Mill Creek provided us with a 10-horse Evinrude. Now, the TR1 kit includes the power switch, a gyro compass, which keeps the boat on course when it's on autopilot, a hydraulic piston rod, which you have to install on the motor mount bracket, and this is what turns the motor from side to side. Now, on the end of the piston, a fitting for the hydraulic fluid screws on. This is the key to those little movements and adjustments that keep the boat on course. Okay. Now, the gyro compass can go anywhere, but it's best to keep it protected, so Matt put it in a storage compartment. It was sealed in place with silicone. Now, the on-off switch, it works in forward and reverse, so the autopilot will stay on course even if you're back trolling. It's all run by a computer that's programmed specifically for the hull of our 18-foot Lund Alaskan. Every boat size and hull design has a special computer program that's set for that brand of boat. Matt installed the TR1 autopilot in an afternoon, and it works like a charm. Okay, that was the autopilot. What do you guys think? Gals? Gals. What do you think, $1,100 for one of those?
No.
Dad?
Sure.
Okay, that's what I thought. Oh, well, you would be a good couple to do this with then. We have all this equipment, this autopilot. I'm out there fishing Paramarquette Lake. You know, it's like 9, 10 in the morning now. You think I caught any fish? $5.
Sure do.
No.
Such little faith. So you think I caught fish, and you say I didn't.
No.
I guess I got to show you the tape to prove it, huh? It does feel like, yes, it is a fish.
Kill the motor.
It is a fish. Okay,
All these other lines.
You know what, Brett? I'm going to turn on your microphone.
I'm going to turn on my microphone.
We get all these in on
Okay.
Starting with this one here.
Oh. Now, this is not a whopper stopper. No, it's a small one. But do we care?
No, we don't care.
You're dragging it right across the surface.
Yep, it's a small one. Now, is it a salmon? Kind of looks trouty. Can't see it yet.
Lake trout.
Is it a lake trout or is it a pike?
No, pike.
It's a pike. It's a pike. But what the hey? It's a fish. By golly, we're having some fun now. Well, that might be what's down there.
Yeah.
Johnny, this is a sublegal pike. It's got to be 24 inches. Oh, boy.
Yep,
You got to like the slime on these. Whoa. Got a single hook to get out. Didn't need the pliers, Matty. Came right loose, these single hooks. Now, we have some buddies we picked up here in this other boat. Huh? Huh?
Oh, dying!
It's a fish. There we go. Whoa! Got a good jump out of it there.
What's a fish?
Yeah, it is a fish. By golly, we did it. What are you laughing about back here?
You didn't measure.
Huh?
Because you didn't measure it.
So?
Probably wasn't legal.
So?
Yeah,
that's
but-
why I threw it back.
I know it. That's why you threw it back. But you never, that you can't consider that as catching one.
Oh, man. What?
That's right. If you had to throw it back, you can't say you really caught one. If it wasn't legal, you got to throw it back, man.
Do you have a better argument?
Do I win?
The question is, did I
That
catch a
$5
fish?
is mine.
Huh?
That $5 is mine.
We got a 7-pound bass and threw it back.
Oh, man. Can I have a round of applause for those of you who think I caught a fish? Okay. Go ahead and applaud if you'd say that doesn't count as a fish. I caught a fish. You win.
I lost $5.
I know it. Well, you know, maybe I was fishing at the wrong time of day. you know,
For
10,
them.
12 o'clock in the morning, you know, at noon. Let's go back to the museum, take a look at our trophy book in the museum, the pictures and the graphs, and find out when those salmon are really caught. This is the kind of king salmon we were looking for. 43 inches long, 31 pounds, 9 ounces. Ted Kimling from New Baltimore caught it off Manistee on a J-plug, the end of August. But he was fishing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, is that a normal time to catch salmon? Our 1994 Trophy Awards data graph shows that success for Trophy Chinook is highest in August, twice as good as either July or September. But 2 o'clock in the afternoon is not prime time. In fact, 11 to 6 is pretty slow. The 5 best hours are 8, 9, and 10 in the morning and 7 and 8 in the evening. That's when Bud Janicki from Freeland caught his 34-pound 10-ouncer off Presque County. He was trolling a Northern King spoon at 8 o'clock in the evening. Isn't that a nice way to end a hard day of fishing? See, I wasn't fishing at the right time of day, right, for salmon?
Yep.
See, it was at the wrong time. That's here in our trophy book. We have all these charts and graphs here, which really give a key as to when the big ones are caught. We have our source book coming out, which is our Sportsman's Yellow Pages. Very soon, I'm going to have the address at the end of the show for that, more information. And now, what's the deal? I never got applause when I did the guide report. I'll be darned. Yeah, no, Maddie did a good job on that. And right over there in the corner, we have coming up what a lot of you have wanted from this television show, and that is a taste of the recipes. Charlie Keenan is serving a dish which Pam Sferries from Brighton sent us called Spicy Venison Steaks. It's in our Practical Sportsman cookbook on page 26. What's in it, Charlie?
Well, Fred, this week's recipe uses venison steak. First thing you have to do is make sure the venison is well trimmed up, and then you can cut it into strips. Now, they're cutting thick strips or thin strips, whatever your preference is. Then you take and you heat the pan up and get that butter in there, dredge the venison in the flour, get it coated, put it back in the pan and cook it until it's done. Now, here comes the neat part. We're going to use a guacamole mix in this recipe. No avocado, just the guacamole mix. Put that in there, stir it up, get it mixed up real nice. Then you put in some sour cream and some milk. Makes a fantastic dish. Just cook that until it's nice and thick. There it is, spicy venison steak.
Huh?
Excellent. Excellent taste.
Now, hold it. You know, everybody says, are those recipes you have on the show really that good?
This one is. It has like a stroganoff taste to it. It's very good.
Be great over noodles.
Oh, so you don't like it without noodles? You don't like the bread?
Yeah, I still like it without the noodles.
Okay. But now we have a criticism back here.
At our deer camp, we always have onions. We have as many onions as we do meat, and this is a little naked without onions.
A little naked. Okay, and right here we have the capper. If you want to see, you going to feed your boys?
Well, do you want a bite, guys? You like some? Now, this guy, he likes to hunt and fish quite a bit. He might take a bite of venison. You want a bite of venison? Is it good?
Huh?
It's okay?
It's okay. Okay, what we have here is basically an adult dish. Huh?
That is good. The bread is really good with it.
Add some green peppers in there and onions.
Okay, here we go. Hey, it's time. We're getting the stories going. It's time to go to Trophy Tales.
My wife went hunting with me and we shot the turkey. It took me 3 hours to call him in around a tree. It was difficult, but he came into a few soft putts and some purrs, and I got him.
And that was in the spring?
That was in the spring, and then this fall I was bow hunting with my buddy Jim, and I was down in the swamp hunting, and he was up in a tree, and he saw this buck entering the swamp from his tree blind, and I heard the buck grunting as he was coming through the swamp, but I couldn't see him, and I could see the swamp brush moving up high, and he passed by me, and then I had my grunt call, and I let a few grunts out, and he turned and come right back around.
So you're just a calling fool, calling turkeys in the spring and calling deer in the fall?
It brings them around.
I guess so. A 14-point buck and a turkey with a 9¼ inch beard. Congratulations,
Thanks.
my man, Tim Drummond. Had a heck of a season. That's obviously legal, right? I mean a turkey in the spring and deer in the fall. What about a turkey and a deer in the fall on the same day from the same blind? Gary Graham from Whitmore Lake said he has a permit and he wants to do that this season, and that brings us to this Sportsman and the Law. There's only one problem to solve if you're going to hunt two species at one time. That is, you've got to make sure that all the regulations for both species are the same. Now, the fall turkey regulations and the October deer bow hunting regulations are almost identical. The hours are the same, no blaze oranges required, and you can use decoys for turkeys and for deer. Now, many hunters use both decoys together, but the problem is with bait. Most bow hunters use bait, and that's legal for deer, but it's not legal for wild turkeys. But consider this. Not all baits that attract deer would attract turkeys. Turkeys eat corn, but do they eat apples or carrots or sugar beets? Gary Graham wants to know if there's any way he could use bait for deer but not violate the law for turkey hunting if he's bow hunting from a tree stand with both licenses in his pocket. I don't know what you folks have come up with at home. We got some hunters here, bow hunters. Y'all say you're bow hunters? So what do you think? Legal?
I wouldn't see any problem with it. I could see where you couldn't do it with a firearm, but with a bow, I couldn't see any problem with it, why you couldn't do it.
2 licenses, 2 different games, yeah.
No, it's unethical.
Unethical?
Yes.
Is it illegal?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's go to our practical attorney, Sal Ghani, and see what his interpretation of the law is.
Well, in the general rules from the DNR, it says that it's unlawful to hunt for, take, or attempt to take wild turkeys over bait. We have to define 2 terms here, hunt and bait. We know what hunting is. It's the intent to try to capture or kill an animal. We have to now define bait, and the DNR has defined baiting, and it says, for the purpose of this regulation, and it defines bait, it says bait means a substance composed of grain, fruit, vegetables, or other food placed to lure or entice wild turkeys. So now we go back to the intent. You know what was your intent to hunt? If your intent was to kill or capture an animal, that's hunting. Was your intent to bait them? Well, if you take one of those substances there and place it there with the intent to lure or entice a turkey there, then that would be baiting, and baiting is prohibited.
He said the key to this was it's bait if you intend to draw the turkeys in.
Right.
Okay? What if you don't intend to draw the turkey? You're just intending to draw the deer.
That'd be okay.
You think so?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah, I'd hunt over it.
As long as you weren't intending. Here's the key, guys. Do you think that if you just tell the officer, really, I didn't intend to do that he'd buy it?
Probably not.
That's the problem. Let's go to Sal and see why.
No, I think the circumstance would control here. If you're in the tree, you've got a valid turkey license, you're hunting, you've got a decoy and bait, I don't think a court would believe that you're there not with the intent to hunt a deer. You couldn't say you're practicing or just scouting. Obviously, you've got the weapon, you've got everything set up, so I believe that a court would find or infer the intent there that you intended to hunt. And then we go back to the penalty. One of the penalties is the method of hunting, and that would be a violation of up to $500 and 9 days in jail. The second violation would be if you do actually the taking of the turkey. So in that circumstance, it'd be like an attempted crime. You're sitting there waiting for turkey to come by. A conservation officer could technically write you up for a ticket for attempting to catch turkey over bait.
What'd you just say?
I changed my mind again.
Oh, where are we at now?
We're at with no baiting at all. It's ethical.
Okay, so you're going to just lose the bait entirely.
Yes.
But even if you didn't intend to attract the turkey, and you swore on a stack of Bibles, that isn't going to cut it much, is it, when you're there with your bow and you got your turkey license and all that? That's the problem.
Yeah.
You guys aren't done thinking about that, believe me. You're going to think of more things on your way home tonight. Yeah. Now, let's go from these crimes to some of my very own gross negligence. Being practical sportsmen, we might as well be honest with you folks. Everything we do isn't flawless. Now, we did have a few mishaps on this trip. Some of them we knew at the time, like this seat right here. When we were in that rough water, this seat that Matt just installed came loose, so we're going to have to fix that. Matt, you said somewhere in the commotion, of course, we knew we were having trouble with the rods. What happened here?
End up breaking an eye off the rod.
Do you know when that happened?
Sometime in the rough seas.
In the rough seas. Okay, now before we even got started on the trip, Matt was in the back of the boat and I was in the front, and I backed it down to the water and it rolled off a little early. So what happened there? What happened there was this. We have a slightly bent prop, and the skag on the 9.9 horse motor was bent a little bit. And this also was an explanation for why the Vexilar flasher wouldn't work, because the transducer got smashed when it rolled off and apparently hit the bottom of the ramp. Now, we also have some problems you can see underneath there with the trailer lights. They had been damaged sometime earlier, and we had a few fuses blow. I don't know. You know, these things happen when you go fishing and hunting. We're going to try to do a flawless trip sometime in the future, but as we improve, why don't you try to figure out how much it's going to cost for the damage control on this trip? Wouldn't you be proud if you could bust things up like that? Well, the question is, how much do you think it costs to fix that stuff? $2,000? Oh, no.
Depends on who did it. If you did it yourself or had someone else to do it.
Oh, my golly. You know, you went right to the punchline. That's absolutely correct. I'm real lucky on this show because when I bust things up, who do I call?
Your mechanic.
The practical craftsman. In his workshop at the Practical Sportsman Museum, Matt Radzilowski made the repairs, and here's his report.
Well, the base of the seat was already loose, so all I had to do was rotate that and reinstall that onto the deck. I gave the rod to Dan Haviland, who repairs fishing rods, and he had that back to us within 24 hours. The prop we had to remove and bend that back into shape, and to get the skag all straightened out, just a hammer and a block of wood helped us get that out. The transducer worked okay after we fixed the bracket. I used a voltage checker to get the trailer lights working, and it all cost us just under $10, and with the exception of the rod, we could have been back out fishing within an hour.
Well, there we are. That was it. You lived through the first very complicated Practical Sportsman show with a live audience. What do you think of it?
It was great.
You enjoyed it, huh?
I sure did.
What are you inspired to do now?
What am I inspired to do?
I mean,
get outdoors.
Get outdoors, okay. But you know, one of the things I hope that all of you pick up from the Practical Sportsman show is not just getting outdoors. That's what I always used to say on the program, but to participate, to do things, to make things, fix things, you know, send your ideas in, because that's what it's all about. And of course, when you participate, you're going to have more fun, and that's what the Practical Sportsman is all about. Hey, I'm glad you folks enjoyed it. See you on TV real soon. Next Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock, we'll be taping the live audience portion of this show at Mill Creek Sports Center in Dexter. On the 26th, we'll be at the Wollahan store in Charlotte.